Hey guys, just finished watching Arrow Season 6, Episode 22, The Ties That Bind. Wow, what an episode. So, the first thing that happens in this episode is Oliver gets a message from, we see that Oliver's having breakfast or breakfast for dinner with Felicity and William, and then Oliver later on gets a message from Anatoly, and they get attacked and stuff, and Oliver ends up beating out crap out of the guys, and Diaz ends up hitting pretty much almost everyone on the team. You all get hit individually and stuff. And then one of the great lines from Dinah Drake was the cool thing, because she's the only one who's actually in costume during these fights. She was actually on the prowl, kind of looking out for someone, and she was baited into falling into a trap a little bit, but she still gets out of it. But she says a cool line. The cool things about Soundwaves is that they bounce type thing. Although if her screaming against the wall, launching herself back, she should have been bruised up a little bit, and she wasn't even bruised up. I guess her suit protected her from that or whatnot, but it was quite interesting. It was a really cool line. It kind of predicted the line when she said that, the thing about sound waves is they bounce, and I was like, so cool. That's such a great line, such a cool scene type thing. And then Nick ends up getting shot, Nick being Curtis Holt's boyfriend, the officer Nick Anesta, and gets kind of he gets shot, and he's kind of in out for the episode. And then one other thing is then William gets Oliver sends William to go stay in the Argus bunker and stuff. And I keep on thinking about this, that William needs to be taught how to fight, even if it's just to defend himself, not necessarily to be the next Thea Queen, Red Arrow type thing. Although that would be cool. But with Roy Harper coming back for season 7, it's probably not going to happen. And I don't see Oliver wanting to put him in that spot. And it doesn't seem like William would necessarily want to be in that position to be to be part of the team, be out in the field. But I think Oliver should see the benefits to teaching him how to fight, even if he never has to use it type thing. It's better to know and not than not know and need it type thing. And it's better to know and not use it than not know and need it type thing. So I think that's going to be an interesting idea to play with for season 5, is bringing in, or season 7 actually, and bringing in teaching Oliver teaching William how to fight. If he's just training him how to defend himself, whether it's on a schoolyard at school, or whether it's other things, just how to deal with stuff, deal with a bully type thing. And it could be quite interesting to see that. Maybe he gets bullied in season 7, and he goes and he ends up being just how to take someone down quickly. Someone throws a punch and he's able to just dodge it and throw them down on the ground and walk away type thing. It would be really cool to see that. And also, it's about time that Felicity knows how to defend herself a little bit, because when they were attacked, Felicity and William were completely useless. They were in each other's way. They were kind of in Oliver's way. They got away perfectly. They weren't like, he wasn't stepping over them or anything like that, stepping on them. But it just would have been way more useful if they had some sort of skills. They knew how to do stuff. Maybe teach. I don't know if he's a bit young, obviously, to teach him how to use a firearm or something. But still, it would be cool to teach him how to use maybe a crossbow or something. Because I think technically, at least here in Canada, there's no laws on really crossbows or anything like that, so that would be really cool, and it would be a great small little Easter egg, giving William an emergency tiny little crossbow, just like the miniature crossbow that Justin Hartley had on Smallville as his Green Arrow, that would kind of fold into the holster type thing. So I think that would be an interesting idea to play with in the Arrow show, is teaching him how to defend himself, whether it's using sticks or whatever. And it would definitely be quite cool to see that. Is seeing Oliver and William training together would be quite cool. Father and son bonding time a little bit more than the way things are going, because right now William is an interesting character, being Oliver's son and all, but he's still just like a kid, and they're treating him a bit like he's a really young kid, whereas I'm sure the actor is a lot older than they're portraying him to be, and he just kind of seems a bit like damsel in distress all the time. Every time he's on the screen, he's always a weak point for Oliver, and I'd like to see that becoming a little bit changing, and seeing him change into a little bit more of not a strong point for Oliver, but just kind of like William can handle himself, not always worried about how that if someone takes William hostage, that William's completely defenseless. I think it would be cool to see different versions of that. I mean, that's where Thea started off. She started off being kind of defenseless and kind of she would get taken by the bad guys and get held captive, and then eventually she became the point where, she started to learn how to fight when she learned from Malcolm and things like that, and it was quite interesting to see that character development with the character. So I think it would be cool to see that with William, see him go from this, this kid who's kind of useless and doesn't do anything. It's just kind of a worrisome and a weak point for Oliver that is not trained, to someone who like Thea, who can kind of handle himself, kind of handle his own, and build up to that. I think it'd be quite cool seeing that. But I don't see Oliver ever wanting him to be out on the field. I could see it eventually being that way, and I think that could be an interesting idea to play with. And maybe not season 7, maybe season 8 or 9. Maybe then you could have William join the team as a character. Maybe he could be in the next Red Arrow type thing. But I think having a season or 2 where he just trains just to stay protective, and I think the idea of William eventually, like I said, 2 or 3 seasons down the road, having him join the team could be a good way for William to say, yeah, you say you're never going to be around. William's always worried about, you hit Oliver surviving every mission he goes on, and it's always not up to him and all that stuff. But yet, if William was out in the field, he could be reassured by he's there to watch Oliver's back too. So I think that could be an interesting idea to play with. But like I said, not for another 2 or 3 seasons. Season 8 or season 9 is when I would put it, is around there. That way we can have all of season 7 of him kind of, training and learning and becoming, training and becoming at least physically active. Season 9 would be perfect, would be the best season, or season 10 type thing, just to really put it off. So you have 2 full seasons of William just kind of an Oliver training, building up to that, and then William not going out to the field until like the season 9 or 10, and even then only have him going out on the recon missions, or the missions where there's not necessarily going to be, they're not predicting too much action type thing, too much danger. So I think it could be a cool idea of building that up. But for now, I think it would be cool if William just knew how to do something, knew how to fight a little bit, knew how to, if he was being captured, if some random criminal, took him hostage, he could, take the gun out of his hands and take off, or just something for William to not be kind of completely useless and defenseless whenever he's around type thing. And it also wouldn't hurt for Felicity to learn a few more moves now. It's been about time that she's kind of learns to defend herself a little bit. She's always in constant danger, so she should learn some too. If William's going to be training, why not also have Felicity too? The air cave gets burnt up into flames and stuff, because Diaz finds it out. So that'll be cool to see if it looks like they're trying to do that to revamp, change it up, the whole thing, for season 7. I'm not sure if we're going to get a new cave, because I really like that cave that they had down there. I wouldn't mind them changing the look of it, keeping the same set, obviously reusing the same set, but just kind of changing the look of it, changing the layout, and would be quite interesting just to change it up. But keeping the same giant set, I think would be a really cool thing to keep, because it was interesting when they went from that little bunker, and then to this new bunker, that little bunker underneath the party room that Oliver had from season 1, all the way to the underneath the club, and to this one underneath the office building where he's working. It clearly looks like they're trying to change it up for season 7, but I think I'd like to keep the same location, same place. It's still the same bunker underneath the building, but because it was burned up into flames, they have to rebuild it and get new computers, new setup, and change it up a little bit. So it looks different, but it still is the same. Essentially, still is the same bunker type thing. So I think that could be really cool going in for season 7, and it looks like that's what they're doing, which is why they probably had it put it up in flames, but yet didn't have it get, it wasn't caved in or anything like that. If they really wanted to get a whole new thing and change up the set, they would have written it that the whole thing gets caved in because it's underground. It would all just have caved in, and it would have been useless, and he would have to go buy a new one. I feel like they could still use, because it caught on fire, but it didn't cave in. They could still just go down over the break in between seasons. They could still have it repaired, and Felicity might be able to afford it. Let's say her company takes off for next season with Curtis, then maybe that's when they could use some of that to kind of rebuild and use it. Because also this new bunker that they stayed in like the Curtis bunker for the newbies, their bunker that they used this episode, was cool seeing everyone in there. It's just a bit too small to see everything, and they're just not. The amount of shots you can get type thing within this one bunker is going to get really stale and really kind of repetitive, whereas a nice big bunker, you can get different shots type thing for the episode, and it'll be a little bit more fresh. So that'll be cool to see that for a season 7. So let me think as what type of cave they should go, and obviously I think they should definitely, remember he's reading the was it Injustice, Gods Among Us, one of the comics. There's a clip that appears all over, the little one-liner from that appears all over social media, with where Harley Quinn says, "Why did you call this place the Arrow Cave? It makes no sense. Batman is called the Bat Cave because bats live in bat caves. So why not call your place the Quiver?" And I think that'd be quite an interesting idea to play with that, is calling it the Quiver, because it's more appropriate to, it's where arrows go, right, in the quiver. So that'll be quite cool seeing that. If they decide to change the name of it, that would be cool. The team is back, and the team kind of gets back kind of this episode, and it looks like they're back for good, which was an interesting idea, the way they're forced to come back. It was just anticlimactic a little bit. It was just kind of, oh, they're back, yeah, cool, and it just moved on. We kind of brushed right past it. But I've always been wanting for them to the team to stay separate until the mid-season crossover next season, and having Barry, Supergirl, and even the Legend guys having their opinions over the petty fighting that they're having in between them, having their opinions on the arguments in between, just being like, yes, we know, and having the world at stake kind of taking over. Yeah, Star City is at stake, but I think that the threat is always bigger for the crossovers when not evil Nazis come over to take over the world, or aliens coming over to take over the world type thing, whatever the threat would be for the next big crossover. I think having that, bringing them together, would have been a little bit better, and it would have brought this, would have tied this whole show, not this show, but having Barry and Supergirl and the Legend characters having their opinions, having their conversations with those characters, bringing the team back together, it would have been a nice, really neat way to tie everything into bow and connect everything together. This way, it was okay. We just brushed past through it. It's just like, oh, they're together, and they'll probably be together for the rest of it. That's it. And there's no reason for them to break up now. It's like, oh, we're back together because our bunker's blown up, so we have to go here, and we need to team up. And it's just kind of like it's just not as well earned, and not as they could have used this, bringing the teams back together at a bigger moment and more meaningful moment, whereas here it was kind of forgettable moment. Oliver ends up going to Anatomy for help, and Curtis gets stabbed by Diaz when they go back out, so he's kind of out for most of the episode. He ends up being in the hospital with Nick and stuff. So Diaz ends up suspecting Anatoly for leaking that he was moving, but Anatoly ends up blaming Sacramento, and then Sacramento ends up getting killed by Diaz, and she takes the blame. So that was cool with that. Lila ends up telling Felicity, like, they find out that when Curtis got stabbed, Diaz ran off because he dropped his necklace with a memory chip, with a USB stick in it. So they go after that stick to try and find out what information is on that. And Felicity asked Lila about what it's like, how does Lila and Diggle work so well when they're out in the field without worrying about each other. And Lila talks about how they figured, making most of the time that they have together, even if it is during these dangerous situations, make the most of it. And she also says that getting divorced helps, so that was quite funny with that. And then when Curtis got stabbed, Diaz dropped the stick, the memory stick, and they're trying to find out what was on the memory stick, and they're trying to hack into it via the police department that Diaz is running type thing. And it caught me, like, why would Diaz in the first place have a list of that could take him down? Why would he have an incriminating list and keep it on a necklace? Now, you could say that the thing happened with the Daredevil show, and that's how Wilson Fisk eventually got taken down. But that wasn't, if you think about it on the Daredevil show and those different shows, it makes sense for the accountant or someone else to have an incriminating list, to have a list that incriminates someone else. If Anatoly had the list that he was keeping secret as a backup weapon to incriminate to incriminate Diaz, that would have made sense to getting that, and why he would have that. Anatoly had an accountant backing up who had a secret file, who had a list that would make sense. Everyone. But why would Diaz in the first place have a list, and why would he keep that on himself to make that? I mean, it doesn't make sense why he would want to do that. Now, he wouldn't want all that information, to keep it all separate, to not incriminate himself. I mean, what was he going to do with that information? Which is going to keep it around his neck the whole time, hoping that it never fell off, and if it ever did accidentally fall off, oh, he's screwed. He has to go and leave Because what happened if they had just left and not noticed that that necklace fell off, So that was just kind of silly as to why he even had that. They never explained his reasoning for it. He kind of got all mad every time it was about to be the information was going to be hacked on it, and when it was almost gone, and he didn't want his tech guy to even look at what was on there. But it didn't, which even though his tech guy clearly was working there under duress because of the safety of his grandmother. So it's like, who cares if he sees that list that incriminates him? He's not going to say anything because he's terrified that his grandmother might die or his type thing. So I think that what is kind of weird as to why Diaz even had that list in the first place. Now, like I said, if it would have been his accountant, his lackey, his bookkeeper, whatever, someone else who wanted to take him down, who wanted backup on him, or one of the other members of the or even could have been Sacramento's list, and actually have her that she was keeping tabs on him, that would have made more sense. But for him to have it on his own was kind of just silly as to why he was had it. There was no explanation to that. It was just kind of too easy. So I'm glad that later on it doesn't. They actually Felicity's in the middle of trying to decode it, and she's not able to do it, and end up blowing up the other bunker. So now there's no more bunker, and their teams are going to be forced to get back together and stuff, which is going to be cool. But and I'm glad that the list ended up not taking down Diaz, because if it had taken down Diaz on this list, or been the thing that would have taken down Diaz, I think that would be like, hopefully they don't have another copy. Diaz does have another copy somewhere else, because that would just be quite stupid. Why would he have an incriminating list like this that would just take down his whole thing all in one shoot like that? Like, it just makes no sense as to why he would have that. So I'm glad that they weren't able to decrypt it in time before the whole building was taken up and everything was kind of exploded and stuff. So that's going to be cool to see where things go in the next episode, and I'm glad they're going to have a different episode, a different reasoning to that, because that whole secret list type thing, that idea was kind of a little bit silly and cliche, and just kind of it was cliche, but there was just no reason for Diaz to have that, and that's what kind of bugged me throughout this whole episode. And then at the end of the episode, Oliver goes to Samantha Watson, telling her that he is the Green Arrow for her help, and she wants two favors from him. She wants the one that for him to admit it that he's Green Arrow, and just something else that we don't see, whatever that is. So that'll be cool to see where things go with that in the last episode, getting the FBI involved and stuff. That'll be quite fun. But hopefully I hope it's not just one of those things where, Oliver says, yes, I'm the Green Arrow, in a confident room, and it's like, my word versus your word, and everyone just saw Tommy Merlin as the Green Arrow, so, it's not going to work type thing, and it wasn't a waste. Hopefully there's Oliver actually it costs him something, because him just saying to her that he is admitting he is the Green Arrow, unless she recorded it type thing, and even then, I just feel like hopefully he doesn't get out scot-free from this. Hopefully he actually has to give something to Samantha, to Watson, and see where things go with that, rather than just, oh yes, he admitted to her and she just wanted the satisfaction of hearing him say it, and that's it. That would just not be enough for her, in my opinion, to get out of this. And obviously she wants to take down Ricardo Diaz and all that stuff, but it just seemed like Oliver needs to kind of sacrifice a little bit more. The reason why she was a last resort, there has to be a reason why she was a last resort and not the first resort. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see where things go with that storyline. But like I said, hopefully it's not too predictable, where it kind of, he's like, oh, I'm the Green Arrow. And she's like, yeah, I just wanted to hear you say it. We're good enough now. I'll do anything you want. No favors needed type thing. She just wanted to hear him say it type thing. So we'll have to wait and see what that other favor was that she wanted, or what that other thing she wanted from Oliver. But hopefully it doesn't seem too predictable, and Oliver actually costs Oliver something going to teaming up with her. He has to give something to her, and more than just the words, just him admitting it but not getting arrested. Hopefully he actually, either one gets arrested, she arrests him after it's all done. But we'll have to wait and see where things go with all this, and she can prove that he is the Green Arrow. So we'll have to wait and see where things go with this relationship between the two of them. But hopefully it's more than just kind of, I'll admit to you that I am the Green Arrow, but you get the credit for taking in Diaz. We'll have to see where things go with it, because hopefully it actually costs Oliver something to team up with her. So let me know what you think, guys. Put this in the comments below about Arrow Season 6, Episode 22, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes
Subscribing
is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.